You ever sit down and wonder why it feels like everyone around you is getting richer, flashier, shinier, but somehow you're stuck playing financial catch up in a game you didn't even agree to play? Welcome to the era of flex culture, where perception is currency and peace of mind is collateral damage. We live in a world where someone will spend their rent money on sneakers just for a fire photo in front of a car they don't own. And you know what? They'll still get 10,000 likes before they get a call from their landlord. But here's the thing most people won't tell you: flexing is rarely about wealth, it's about wounds. It's about trying to cover emptiness with aesthetics, trying to make noise with your image because silence feels like failure. But what if I told you the loudest flex is financial stability? What if the real glow up is learning how to stop bleeding money just to look like you have it? This video isn't about shaming anyone, it's about unpacking the psychology behind all this: the pressure, the illusion, the addiction to validation. Because if you're not careful, flex culture will have you working two jobs just to impress people who aren't even paying attention. Let's talk about it.
I live somewhere between reality and delusion. I mean, that's the key to a happy life, right? So welcome to a day in my life. So I actually skipped breakfast today because I'm going for afternoon tea. But this one is a little different. It's almost like a full course Thai-inspired tasting menu. Just look at that spread. It's called the White Lotus and it's at the Four Seasons Hotel. Guys, this was the best scone I've ever had in my life. We then went upstairs to the suite, and guys, I have to show you the bathroom. Does anyone else check the bathroom before the bedroom when they make a booking, or is it just me? Anyway, this is the Hyde Park suite and the details are absolutely incredible. You just have to book this place. We then took a stroll to the flower shop down the road. I honestly come here all the time, but I've never bought anything. It's so delusional. I want my future husband to notice and buy me.
You ever notice how everyone on social media is somehow rich, flawless, and sipping champagne from a rooftop you've never even seen in your city? Yeah, that's flex culture. It's that quiet competition where everyone's pretending not to compete, but we all know what's going on. It's the humble brag disguised as a just feeling grateful post. It's the luxury car lease presented as hard work pays off. But here's the thing nobody tells you: flex culture isn't about money, it's about validation. It's not even about what you have, it's about how many people see you have it.
How much did I charge my husband to give him our second baby? First up, we have a customized pink G-Wagon as my push present for giving him a baby girl. And of course, I need a nice ride when I'm going to be going out with her.
She said a pink G-Wagon to have a second baby. That wasn't a joke, that was the price tag. No, don't get me wrong. If you're in a happy marriage and your man's got it like that, do your thing. But this is exactly what we're talking about. This flex culture is so deep, we've started monetizing our milestones. Having a baby, cool, but only if it comes with a luxury vehicle and a social media photo shoot. Like, who needs prenatal vitamins when you've got a brand deal? This is the financial delusion we're living in. We don't ask, can we afford this? We ask, will it look good on Instagram? And somewhere between the baby registry and the Benz payment, we've forgotten how expensive flexing really is. What's wild is some people are out here actually feeling broke. Not because they are, but because they're comparing themselves to this. And that's the danger. Flex culture doesn't just make you spend money. It makes you feel like you don't have enough, no matter how much you actually
$2
do.
million on a new home because our family is obviously getting bigger and we need more space. $1 million on renovations and interior design to change the lighting, flooring, and also to make a customized pool because I'm not leaving the house to go swimming. It's gonna look so good. $100,000 on 8 Dior bags for her collection, and $80,000 on a new Van Cleef collection for her because she's gonna be taking this down the generations and passing it on because it's so timeless. $10,000 on daily postpartum massages for a month for me and baby girl because I need to recover from giving birth.
This flex culture is genius because it hijacks your psychology. It uses a cocktail of status anxiety, peer pressure, and a sprinkle of dopamine hits from likes and comments to make you feel like you're behind if you're not shining too. Suddenly, you're adding things to your cart you don't even like just because you saw someone else flex it first. You're working overtime not to get ahead, but to keep up. You're buying the aesthetics of success instead of building actual wealth. It's the digital version of high school, but this time the popular kids are winning sponsorships and the broke kids are trying to buy their way into the cool table with Afterpay. And don't get it twisted. This isn't just harmless showing off. Flex culture often leads to real financial damage: debt, burnout, impulse spending, and the slow erosion of contentment. You stop asking, what do I want my money to do? And instead start asking, what do I need to buy so I don't look broke? It's a trap, but it's a pretty one. And the scariest part, most people don't even know they're in it.
You see, flex culture isn't always loud.
Sometimes it's subtle. A little retail therapy you can't actually afford. A car payment that eats half your paycheck. That vacation you booked with zero savings. But hey, the photos look good. So in segment 3, let's get into it. The psychology behind why we flex and why it keeps trapping us. Because until we understand what we're really chasing, we'll keep mistaking image for identity and draining our wallets in the process. You ever wonder why flexing feels so good, but ends up costing so much? It's not just ego, it's psychology. See, in our brains, validation lights up the same reward centers as food, sex, or getting paid. That little hit of dopamine you get when someone comments, goals, or you're killing it? Yeah, that's your brain saying, we like this. Do more. But here's the plot twist. The brain doesn't care if that validation came from actual success or just a well-lit photo in front of a rented car. The dopamine still drops. That's why flex culture is so seductive, because it feels like progress even when it's putting you in reverse. We've confused being perceived as successful with actually being secure. And it's not entirely our fault. We're the first generation raised with filters and debt. Scrolling through highlight reels, we start thinking we're behind just because someone else posted a Maldives trip. But what we don't see, the credit card debt, the anxiety, the borrowed outfit for the brunch selfie. Flex culture thrives in silence because no one posts the bill, just the champagne. And slowly we trade long-term peace for short-term applause. We're not just spending money, we're spending identity. We're outsourcing our self-worth to strangers on the internet. But here's the truth. Being rich isn't about looking rich. It's about not needing to prove anything at all. That's the shift. And in the next segment, we'll talk about what happens when the flex crashes and you realize you can't keep up. Not with them, not with the lie, not even with yourself.
I hope no one comes for me for this, but do you get the urge to shop every day? I feel like if I don't have something to buy, I'm there's an itch that needs to be scratched.
You know, at the beginning, I told myself it wasn't going to be an addiction. And then I bought another one. And then I bought another one after that. And now it's kind of starting to look like an addiction.
You ever find yourself adding stuff to your cart you don't even like just because someone on your feed had it and somehow it looked cooler on them? Yeah, that's not you being materialistic. That's your brain being dragged into a game you never agreed to play. Flex culture isn't just about showing off. It's about performing for a crowd that isn't even clapping. And the worst part, you don't even know who you're competing with. The influencer, their stylist, their sugar daddy, their sponsor. We're in a psychological arms race where everyone's trying to outdo someone else, but no one knows who the original competition was. So we end up buying things to impress people who probably aren't even looking. This is the paradox. You're trying to win in a race where the finish line keeps moving and the judges are imaginary. And that's how people lose their peace and their paycheck. You get so wrapped up in projecting an image, you forget to build a reality that actually feels good when the camera's off. Morgan Housel said in The Psychology of Money, spending money to show people how much money you have is the fastest way to have less money. Let that simmer. This race, you don't have to run it, because the moment you realize your only real competition is the person you used to be, the flex loses its power. So while the algorithm is busy rewarding illusions and everyone's hyping up that girl who just unboxed her 5th gifted Chanel, let's pull the curtain back. Because behind the scenes of that curated lifestyle, there's a different story playing out, one that doesn't always make it to the feed. It's the story of the cost of the flex, and no, I don't mean retail price. I mean the kind of cost that shows up in your bank account, your anxiety levels, and your future plans. You ever hear of something called flex debt? No? That's because it doesn't come with a fancy name. It just creeps in through Afterpay, Klarna, credit cards, and lifestyle creep disguised as self-care. You see, flex culture doesn't just encourage you to live above your means, it normalizes it. It's the art of performing wealth, even when you're drowning in overdraft fees. And the wildest part, most people don't even realize they're performing. They think they're just manifesting their soft life era. But what they're really doing is trading tomorrow's peace for today's dopamine. This is where flex culture gets dangerous, especially for Gen Z and millennials, because we're not just dealing with inflation and wage stagnation. We're dealing with a digital world that's constantly whispering, you should have more by now. So you swipe, you split, you subscribe, and just like that, you're trapped in a lifestyle that's not even making you happy. Flexing doesn't make you rich. It just makes you look rich until you're broke. And here's the worst part. Nobody claps when you finally learn how to budget. Nobody double taps when you skip brunch to pay off your car, but that's the stuff that builds freedom. That's the stuff that compounds. So yeah, the flex might get you likes, but financial wisdom, that gets you a life.
Really rich people don't show off, and here's why. Real rich people do live a nice and lavish lifestyle, but rarely show off. Many rich people understood that time and great experiences are so much more fulfilling than possessions. They buy time to share experiences with loved ones, to create memories. That's real wealth, not posting Louis Vuitton bags and pieces in a fake private jet studio. This is a brokie's dream of a rich person's life, but a rich person's life has nothing to do with a brokie's dream.
You ever notice how the quietest people in the room are usually the ones with the most money? Like the real rich ones aren't online screaming about if you got it, flaunt it. They're sipping tea in an old hoodie they got from a charity gala that raised $1 million. See, somewhere along the way, our generation got sold this glitch in the matrix that success had to look loud to be real. But in the book, The Psychology of Money, Morgan Housel drops a truth bomb. Spending money to show people how much money you have is the fastest way to have less money. Ouch. Somebody call the burn unit because that quote just torched half of Instagram. But here's the beauty. You can rewrite the story. You can decide today that your worth isn't wrapped in logos or brunch aesthetics or a rental car you can't afford to dent. You can be the quiet millionaire in the making. Delayed gratification isn't just about sacrifice, it's about strategy. It's not don't enjoy life, it's don't get played by the game. Flexing for the internet might give you a dopamine hit, sure, but building a life that actually feels good offline, that's the long game. And listen, there's nothing wrong with wanting nice things, but when your identity needs them to function, you're not spending money, you're spending your self-worth. Let that sink in. So here's the thing. You don't have to play a role in someone else's highlight reel. You don't have to bankrupt your future just to impress a timeline that forgets you the minute you stop posting. Flex culture tells you to perform, to constantly upgrade, to always have something to prove. But wisdom reminds you that silence is powerful, that real wealth doesn't chase attention, it creates options. Freedom isn't about driving the loudest car or wearing the loudest label, it's about peace, control, not needing to explain why you said no. And if you're watching this wondering if it's too late for you, if you've already bought the hype, spent the money, and now you're knee-deep in regrets, let me say this. It's never too late to rewrite the story. The moment you decide to stop performing and start building, things begin to shift. You don't need to be louder. You just need to be real. Real with yourself, real with your money, real about the life you actually want. So take a breath, make a plan, and start where you are. Because you don't need to flex for anyone. And hey, what do I know? I'm just Glenn, a man with a mic, a mild caffeine addiction, and too many opinions for one brain.